In today's video, I take this dresser that I found sitting in a horse barn and turn it into a beautiful and even sultry piece. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to stick around. Hello everyone, welcome back. My friend Laura was kind enough to give me this dresser for free. It is an antique that has been sitting in her horse barn for quite a while. There's a giant split on the top. A lot of the drawers are not functioning very well. They don't slide in and out. There are bugs, cobwebs everywhere. This piece has also been sitting on the earth, so the bottom is rotten. That will have to be fixed, but I'm going to make this piece beautiful again. All right, let's start by removing the hardware and removing the drawers. You can tell by the handles that this piece is really old. I've actually never come across handles that were designed like that before, so that's a new one. While I'm taking the dresser apart, I noticed some repairs that need to be made. The back of this drawer is no longer attached, so that will have to be fixed. And one of the drawer slides is missing, so I have to cut a piece of wood and replace that. This piece is by far the dirtiest piece I have ever attempted, so I'm not messing around. I take this straight outside and use my water hose to clean this piece. First, I start by giving the piece a really good rinse, and just years of dirt and grime just poured off of this piece. To clean it, I try a new cleaner that I found at Home Depot. It is called the Pink Stuff. And it says that it's vegan on the container, and I'm looking for something to kind of replace my chemical TSP, so I'm giving this a try today to see what I think of it. If you like seeing pieces of furniture that are often destined for the trash turned into beautiful pieces of work, you are in the right place, so I encourage you to hit that subscribe button. After going through the process of scrubbing with soapy water and rinsing a couple times, I am happy with how clean the piece is. I do leave it in my driveway in the sunshine to dry out for the remainder of the day. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to save the top, so I decide to start with that for my repairs. I do go ahead and remove the wooden appliques on the front just so I have a flush surface to attach some clamps to. Then I grab Gorilla wood glue and apply a bunch of wood glue along the entire crack. I place a board down along the crack because it is popped up and unlevel, and then clamp that down into place. I'm trying to make the top surface as flush together as possible. Next, I place some clamps, squeezing the back and the front of the top piece together to close up that big gap, and then placed a couple clamps closing the body together as well on the top. And then I let all that set overnight. The next morning, I removed the clamps and a board, and there is still a little bit of a gap, but it is so much better than it was before. Now, this piece is solid wood throughout the entire thing, so I used some 80 grit sandpaper to kind of try to sand those a little bit more flush together. I go along the top and sand it smooth, and then I hand sand with some 60 grit paper wrapped around a sanding block on the edge to make that transition better in between pieces. This isn't perfect, but I know this is an antique. This piece isn't going to be perfect, but it looks so much better. This piece has some carved detail on the front. I am needing a flush surface for the look that I want to go with. So I do fill in those details with Bondo, let that dry, and then sand it smooth with some 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander. I also do a lot more sanding on the rest to get it ready for painting. So I scuff sand the entire surface with the 120 grit sandpaper. So this took a couple hours of sanding. I take measurements of an existing drawer slide and then cut a piece of spare wood down to size. I drill some holes in the top with a smaller drill bit so the screw can go through and not split the wood. And then I come back with a larger drill bit and drill just a little bit down in so I can have some recessed screws so the screw head will not scratch the bottom of the drawer as it slides in and out. And then I attached it into place. To repair the broken drawer, I put wood glue into the seams, put the back piece into place by gently tapping it down with a mallet. I went ahead and clamped it together too and let it set overnight for good measure. All right, the bottom of this dresser is completely rotten from years of sitting on the ground in a horse barn. So that will have to be cut off. And I go ahead and cut off a couple extra inches for good measure. I measure from the top and measure the line all the way across and draw a straight line. So I have a guide to follow when I use my circle saw to cut this off. The last fix or repair I need to make is to double check the drawers. After they were repaired and all back together, I place them in one by one to make sure that they slide in and out okay. This middle drawer did not slide in and out good. Over years, it has warped, so the drawer is too big for the opening in the body of the dresser. I use some 80 grit sandpaper and then go back with 120 grit sandpaper to make it smooth, and then check it again. Once it slides in and out, we are good to go. After all those repairs and sanding, this piece is super dusty, so I grab a damp lint-free cloth, wipe the piece down, and let the surface air dry. Finally done with all those repairs, so let's celebrate by having a drink. Okay, I'm totally kidding. When I was wiping the piece down with a damp cloth, it still has a faint horse barn scent. Now, I'm a country girl and I love the way horses smell, but not everyone appreciates that. So I'm going to use some cheap vodka to spray on the surface, and this will help diminish any gross odors still coming out of the dresser. Just spray on a liberal amount and wipe up any excess. Now this piece is solid wood, so I didn't wipe up my excess. I just let it soak into the wood. But you want to make sure that you spray all your surfaces inside and out, the body, the dresser, everything, to get that odor completely out. Once the surface was dry, it is time for primer. I have been testing out this Kiehl's Gray Primer for a while now, and I'm testing against another water-based primer. It is the Zinsser's Bullseye 123 Primer. Both of them are water-based, but the Kiehl's primer acts more like a shellac primer. So in my opinion, it is the far superior primer and is the primer of choice now for me. I applied 2 coats of primer, allowing it to dry a couple hours in between each coat, and then let that dry overnight. I needed a flush front for the dresser because I'm going to use this decoupage rice paper called Peaceful by Redesign with Prima. I'm using a very low setting on my iron to help iron out some of the wrinkles from it being folded in the package. Next, I hold the paper up to center and mark where that center beam is in between the 2 drawers, and then use my finger to press along the seam of the bottom of the top drawers so I know where to cut this. And I just follow that method, working section by section until I got the paper all divided up. Once the paper was all separated, it is time to apply it. I have polyurethane on my brush and I apply a thin layer to the body of the dresser and then put the rice paper down into place and then go back over the top of the paper with another coat of poly to seal it. The drawer faces are a large area, so I did work in sections. I would add a layer of the polyurethane for the base underneath, put the rice paper into place and then smooth it down so it was attached, and then worked my way down along the entire face of the drawer. Once I had the large section of rice paper attached to the drawer, I went back over it with a decoupage roller to help roll out any creases or air bubbles that might be underneath the surface, and then went back over the top with a coat of polyurethane to seal it. You can see here the pieces are starting to come together. I did let the polyurethane dry for multiple hours, and when it was thoroughly dry, I came back with some 120 grit sandpaper wrapped around an old sanding sponge. I held my sponge at an angle and went in a downward motion to knock off any excess rice paper that was hanging over the edges. Finally, we are ready for some paint. So I have this beautiful array of all these different shades of purples and grays and beige that some I mixed together, some I already have, and I'm just pulling colors out of this rice paper. And my original thought is to do a blended look with all these colors and carry the theme of the rice paper throughout the body of the dresser. So I start to lay down the paint, trying to get an idea of how I want this to spread out on the dresser. And I am starting with Caviar by Dixie Belle. And then I'm going through, not really trying to blend it yet, because like I said, this is the first layer. Just laying out and getting a plan of what colors I want where. If you have watched up into this point, I would just want to take a minute and tell you thank you for following this journey and sticking with me. I want to take a moment here and send a special thank you to those who support my channel. So thank you, Ginger Contreras, for supporting me through Buy Me a Coffee. I also want to say thank you to Connie for buying me an item off of my Amazon wish list. I absolutely love it. I've already used it on a piece that I didn't film, and I cannot wait to use it on my channel soon. I also want to say a special thank you to all of those who like, share, and subscribe to my channel. A little bit of action on your part helps carry my channel a long way, so thank you very much. After seeing all the purple paint laid out, I decided I didn't like that and I really just like the black. So I painted the entire body of the dresser in the caviar and feathered it into the rice paper. I applied 2 coats of paint using that method and then let the paint dry. For top coat, I am protecting with Verithane's polyurethane. It's a water-based formula, and I like the crystal clear satin formula. You guys, if you follow my channel, you know I use this all the time. I absolutely love this top coat. I applied 2 coats of the polyurethane, allowing it to dry a couple hours in between each coat. With the magic of YouTube, I lined the inside of the drawers with this peel and stick wallpaper. I will make sure to link the product in the description. And then I did my usual Howard Feed and Wax on the wooden part of the drawers. You apply a layer of the Howard's Feed and Wax, let it set for a few minutes, and then wipe the excess away. Now for the handles, I am using this gold gilding wax by Dixie Belle. I did go ahead and clean the handles. I forgot to record it, but I boiled them in my typical water and vinegar mixture and then scrubbed all the rust off. And now I'm applying the gilding wax and it just looks so much better. These are the new legs that I had in stock and they're black and I want gold. So I'm just applying the Dixie Belle gilding wax to these as well so the handles and the new legs match. The last thing I have to do is to attach the new legs to the bottom of the dresser, and then this piece is finally done. Here's a quick reminder of this busted up piece with a rotten bottom that I pulled out of a horse barn. And here is our after. Using black paint is always a classic and sexy look, but added with this decoupage paper, it's just sexy, it's sultry, it's gorgeous. I absolutely love how this piece turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoyed the journey of this barnyard find into a beauty. That is all I have for you guys today. Until next time.